20 minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about something quite different from the whole conference. So I'm the outlier here. And I'm going to be talking about artificial intelligence and its integration in the Bulgarian educational system. The title of the presentation is the same as the submitted paper, Educational Horizons, Mapping the Terrain of Artificial Intelligence Integration in Bulgarian Educational Settings. So the content of today's presentation is as follows. First, we're going to talk about the background, which includes the demographic data, the survey which was conducted, the research method, and the data analysis. In the second part, we're going to discuss the results of the survey. More particularly, we're going to be talking about familiarity with AI apps, AI as a teaching tool, and willingness for teachers to engage in such AI trainings. And we're going to finalize our talk today with a discussion, which is going to conclude with positive and negative quotes by teachers and summary of the main trends. So starting off with the background, teachers have always played a crucial role when it comes to implementing teaching innovations. However, with the advent of AI technology, the role of teachers has rapidly changed. So teachers are not now just feeders of information. Better yet, we're mentors, we're leaders, and whatnot in our classrooms. Studies have also shown a very strong association between the instructor's preparedness to use technology in class and their degree of confidence, which is, quite expected. The wide range of AI apps and the rapid release of new ones make it very difficult, if not impossible, to explore all the options of all the AI apps out there, to choose appropriately what to use, and to keep up with the learning demand which such education requires. So currently, AI implementation into the teaching practice is mostly haphazard and governed by instinctive decisions. This teacher decides to use that in her classroom, maybe test this, but there's no synchronicity between what exactly is going on, except for one document, which I'm going to present in a little while. So teacher education programs nowadays in Bulgaria provide none to minimal knowledge and skills for integrating such technologies in the Bulgarian classrooms. So familiarity with AI is something which is discussed in depth in the survey, and there's shown to be a significant factor in shaping teachers' attitudes towards and willingness to participate in such training and include AI in their classrooms. In the same time, familiarity is shown to have a strong association with three other factors. Those are generational traits, what generation they come from, the subject matter, and also gender. Very sensitive issue now, I know, but bear with me. So when we talk about generational traits, we see that younger generations, Generation Z, millennials, and Y, for example, tend to be more open to such technologies rather than older generations, let's say the baby boomers, for example. The subject matter, once again, something which is expected. Teachers who come from backgrounds with technology, mathematics, informatics, and etc., they tend to be, again, more open to using AI in their classrooms. And gender, female teachers show high level of apprehension, but less interest in AI. This is something which struck me the most out of all these three factors. So the purpose of the present study was to provide information about the current status of AI and its integration in the Bulgarian classroom in the nascent stage. Even though AI has been going on for quite a while, in Bulgaria, it's still in this nascent stage, and we still need to find appropriate instructional ways to integrate it in our classrooms. Hopefully that will happen soon. If you think so, we'll see. And so the research questions which actually were outlined, these are the main ones, although there are sub-levels to each of these research questions, are as follows. How familiar are teachers with AI? What are the most popular AI applications among Bulgarian school teachers? Do teachers use AI applications, and for what purposes? Something very interesting, in my opinion, in their classrooms. What are the teachers' attitudes towards AI in an educational setting? And what are the teachers' inclinations and openness to participate in such educational trainings? Something really important, in my opinion, too. So the survey which was conducted was a countrywide survey of Bulgarian teachers from all school levels. So we had primary school teachers, lower secondary school, and upper secondary school teachers. The survey was conducted, built on a Google form, and was spread all around the country with the help of school principals in all the 28 regions of the country. The study was granted ethical permissions by the Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics and the Plovdiv University, so everything is absolutely legal and okay. The participants provided informed consent before completing the survey. The entire survey consisted of 33 items, out of which 7 demographic, and the other ones were connected to the application of AI in the classroom. And since, as I said, I know that I'm the outlier in this conference, I decided to make it a little bit more interesting and have included a lot more data in the presentation rather than the paper. So, talking about the research methodology and the data analysis, it was mainly quantitative survey design, although there was one question which was qualitative open question, qualitative data. The data was analyzed through statistical methods including chi-square z-tests, Kruskal-Wallis tests, and Bonferroni paired comparisons. And now the demographic data. The survey was filled out by 2,252 public school teachers, it's a very stable sample, out of which 1,886 were women, totaling 83.7%. The men were 366, which actually reflects the distribution among genders in Bulgarian schools. So that reflects actually what is really going on in Bulgarian schools. Furthering on, the respondents came from all of the 28 regions. So we have a sample from everywhere. It's not just Sofia or Plovdiv, where I'm from. Here the percentages from primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary school. The largest percent is upper secondary. And the background of the teachers were mainly from humanities, 56.5%, math, sciences, and technologies, 33.5%, followed by arts and music, physical education and health, and social sciences. Talking about the age groups, we can see the lowest percent here being the youngest teachers, 5.7%, those aged between 20 and 29 years of age, and the highest percent, those between 50 and 59, which are 37.4%. Now we're going to come to the more interesting, for me, hopefully for you too, part, the results of the survey. So here we are going to talk about the familiarity of teachers with AI. And here it should be noted that the portion of teachers who reported being familiar, and that includes very familiar, and somewhat familiar, they all fall into that category. The percent far is 70.3 and far exceeds those who are unfamiliar, rather unfamiliar, and unfamiliar totaling 29.7%. When we talk about familiarity across age groups, here we see a significant association between age and familiarity. So the younger ones are more familiar and the older ones are less familiar, something that it is expected. These tendencies are also backed up by other, let's say, fairly recent studies from 2020 onwards. There are also other variables, as I mentioned before, which are significantly associated with familiarity, and those include gender, as I said, and the subject area in which teachers teach. So more male teachers were familiar with AI than female teachers. I think that's also maybe common knowledge, let's say, backed by data now. The subject area, of course, those who were in the fields of mathematics, sciences, and computers were more open to technology, and those who are in physical education and health and arts and music less inclined to use AI in their classrooms. To the question, how often do you use AI in your teaching practices? So the teachers who did not use AI, and we're going to focus here on the never section because we can see the percentages up here. You have the option to see the presentation also later. So the teachers who did not use AI in their classrooms, first, more often taught in primary schools, were more often aged 60 and above compared to the other age groups. You can see here the percentages of the age groups, and taught, as I mentioned before, physical education and health, and in the arts and music fields, let's say. In the next part, we're going to talk about AI applications, because usually when we talk about AI, we're like, okay, AI, chat GPT, but it's not only that. So actually, the Ministry of Education in Bulgaria, Ministry of Education and Science, pardon me, have come up with guidelines for how to include AI in Bulgarian schools. And they came up with these guidelines in February this year, 2024. In their document on page 11, you can find a categorization of all the AI tools which they have presented. And in order to make my survey compatible with what is happening in the Bulgarian system, I also based my survey on their document. So they have designated these 3 areas of AI, and those are chatbots, logically chatbots, video, audio, and image generators, and virtual human generators. And here below, you can see some examples. Of course, ChatGPT for chatbots, Google Bard, Gemini, Microsoft Bing, etc. For video and audio generators, we have DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, etc. And for human generators, Synthesia and Play HT. This is what the document looks like. But unfortunately, when talking one-to-one with many Bulgarian teachers, they had not been introduced to this document half a year later. Now, when we talk about the familiarity with AI applications, and we see the distribution here. So here we've got the chatbots, here we've got the video, audio, and image generators, here we've got the virtual human generators, and here other and none, of course. Now we see, first of all, I would like to say that the sum of the proportion exceeds 100 because the people who filled in the survey had options to choose whatever they wanted. So it's yes. Here we have 130% chatbots. Of course, ChatGPT leading being the leader of the list. Afterwards, we've got the image generators, 24.8%, and the virtual human generators, 5.30%. The popularity of ChatGPT also collaborates with the findings of other studies, which is not something which will surprise us. However, there are no studies which investigate too many other AI applications. So what it's been doing now is mostly connected to ChatGPT and its newer versions and etc. And now if we connect the previous slide to what we are doing in class, actually, we see that those who are 130% familiar with all the chatbots use them 56%. Those who are 24% familiar with the image generators, let's say, use them 7.3%, very lower percentages compared to the familiarity. And those who use the virtual human generators, only 1.3% out of the familiarity, 5.3%, and the no use, 54.4% versus the 4.6% of unfamiliarity. Something which is quite interesting, and when we start talking to teachers one-on-one, most of them are afraid of how to use them in class. Okay, that's great. ChatGPT is great. What do I do in class? How do I use it? How do I take the most of it? So that is why we prepared this question. So what do you use AI for? Preparation of teaching materials, preparation of content, creating tests, creating homework assignments, team tasks, individual tasks, the list goes on. So basically here we see that the percentages, the largest percentages are preparation of teaching materials and teaching content. And when actually what AI could be most useful for is grading and tests and exams. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the opinions of AI as a teaching tool in class. So how useful is actually AI for educational purposes? And here we have a Likert scale: useful, somewhat useful, not useful. And I decided to add this while I was building the survey, more harmful than useful, decided to see what people will, teachers will answer. So here we have more positive responses than negative, 76.8%. Those are the useful and the somewhat useful. And the skeptical, both of these fall into that category at 23.2%. Now, connected to the potential to increase effectiveness, creativity, and motivation. What happens here? So here, teachers are more positively inclined to say that, yes, it could, to some extent, lead to more creativity, more motivation and effectiveness. And we can see here we can see here that 53.7% of teachers were skeptical about the potential of AI to make the educational process more effective. 69.2%, so totaling this, believe the potential of AI to make education more creative, and 63% believe that the use of AI could increase student motivation. However, when it comes to the cognitive abilities of thinking analytically, critically, and creatively, we see a lot of skepticism, and we see that across all of the three cognitive abilities, above 85% in analytically, critically, and creatively. So teachers are very reluctant to use AI technology because of all these. And we'll see later in the quotes that teachers think that there will be a lot of negative effects, especially in these cognitive abilities. When we talk about challenges, there are many challenges to applying AI in class, and the teachers pointed out that plagiarism and cheating practices are the leaders here. Not so much the method, not so much the technical difficulties, but exactly that. Something which I try to focus on is the need for training. Are teachers open to be trained, or they're like, this is what I know, this is what I do, AI is bad, I'm not going to use it in my classroom because of this and this and this. So overall willingness to receive training, we see here that overall teachers are willing to receive training. Especially in testing and assessment, we can see that 86% are willing to be trained in those fields. Connected to the technical skills, we see here 80% are open, and training in methodology, we see 72% interest. So when we talk about the interests across school levels, we see that those who are most interested in receiving such trainings are those in upper secondary schools, and those who are least interested are in lower secondary schools. Talking about gender, we see here that overall 76% of the female teachers and 70% of the male teachers showed interest in such training. 60% of the male teachers provided firm, positive responses versus 48% of the female teachers. According to age, here we can see the interest in training decreases with the increase of age, something that I mentioned before. And the teachers older than 50 are more hesitant or not interested at all. And coming to the final part of our presentation today, some citations from the open question, the qualitative data in the end, which are translated from the Bulgarian originals. Here are some positive comments. AI can analyze student data and provide personalized materials and tasks which best suit the individual needs of each student. AI can be extremely useful for educators if they know how to use it. It can create a lot of useful learning content. Now, some skeptical ones. Perhaps it would be useful, but there's a lack of information about in which areas, subjects it would be applicable and how. Lack of training of teachers. There are no studies or data. This is not true, actually, on whether this works, whether it helps someone, and whether it gives results. There's a lot of research going on now, every day, new research coming out. So we do have evidence now. AI can be more harmful than useful, something which I expected. It offers opportunities for plagiarism and does not stimulate creative thinking. Users become lazy. And to finalize with some main trends of the research. So the participants in the present study reported unsystematized baseline knowledge. So here and there, what they've heard, what they've tested, nobody came and taught them, said this is how to use, etc. So very limited experience. The teachers held moderate sentiments towards the benefits of AI and concerns about the impact of academic integrity, ethics, and etc., something which should be talked more about in the future. The majority of teachers recognize the need for special training in AI and express willingness. So this is the light at the end of the tunnel, and this is what makes me, a teacher filled with a lot of hope that people will be open to learn. Given the rapid release of new AI apps, it is important for teachers to receive the fundamental knowledge. We cannot go through all the apps. Apps are coming out every day. What we need to learn is the fundamentals, how to use them. And then when we are left with this technology left alone, then we're going to go and figure it out by the fundamental knowledge that we have. And the majority of teachers indicated the need for specific training in how to use AI for assessment and evaluation, methodological approaches, technical competences. Of course, we cannot do without our technical support. Never done it, never will. Ethical principles and the means to implement them into the educational process. Educational institutions and relevant stakeholders should provide guidelines, consultancy, and support for teachers, especially teachers who are more reluctant and at an older age, and formal versus informal venues where teachers can share their experiences, share their materials, and just to discuss what's happening in their classrooms. Here are the citations which were used in this presentation. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. And now I'm opening the floor for questions.